Yeah, so the V1 file looks like this. V2, what we'll do is make these USD pricing, and let's just switch some of these around. Trying to make it as ridiculous as possible. Let's make these guys, put them here maybe. Yeah, that's fine. So we have a V2 file, and we're gonna map this up side by side. Okay, so the account number is coming from A, transaction date is gonna be coming from C, D still got our check number, description line F, and this is an E, amount column. Still got that amount column down here. I should probably switch this around. Let's do something crazy. Move this over here and move this over here. Okay, so let's start that again. A got our account numbers, transaction dates in the G column, check number in the D, D1F, okay, description 2E, the amounts in the C column now, and we're gonna make this US. We already got a drop down there. Okay, so basically, whatever kind of file they have, but whatever layout it has, they're going to be able to like quickly just put where each column comes from, and then be able to import it. So let's take a look at import sheet. So import, and here what we're going to do is we're going to make our import button, right? So over here, got import data. I'll just name this while I'm here, btn import, because we're obviously going to have some functionality. Okay, so when it clicks the button, I want it to like import some data here for sure. But first, what I want it to ask is which version I'm using. So let's make a little macro here. Oops, not this. It's a GCP account. All right, here we are. So we're going to go import data. Just make a little sub here. Something I like to do. Okay, so we'll call this importer. I like that name. No, dot show VB modeless. Okay, let's name this. Maybe we'll call it importing. So I know that there's importing code there, and we're gonna add a form. So in this form, maybe I call this the importer, like I said there. And yeah, let's just try if that button works. Click the button, boom, it gives us this little form here. Okay, so let's give this a nice name, or like a nice text. I want to call it importing data. Then a nice label out here, which is going to say select file name type. So let's just think about this for a second. This is going to be our file name. We'll call it file name here. But let's call it our source name. Sources are going to be files, but whatever. So here, just want to make sure that I never have to come back here again. Select source file name. There we go. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. I don't usually like to change the default font because you have to remember to do it everywhere if you're going to do that. But somebody at Microsoft obviously got paid to pick what the default font was. So you usually use that philosophy for not even changing the height of these boxes and stuff. So here we go. We're just going to have a simple button. We're going to maybe call that btn continue. And here we're going to write continue. Here, we'll name our combo box something, btn, I don't know, btn source. Cool. So when the form loads up in the beginning, what we need to do is we're going to have to load our sources. So in the sources, or in our load sources code, we're going to say, first of all, that combo box we made, the combo box source, we're going to clear. Is it items clear? It may be items clear, but whatever, we'll figure it out. So I'm going to take some code here, some snippets. It's just a basic for loop in Excel. And we're getting this out from our mapping sheet. So as far as VBA is concerned, we'll give this another name, call it mapping, and we'll use that mapping sheet here in our width. So what we're doing basically, we're accessing the mapping sheet and we're going starting from the second row till the end of the first row. And there, actually, you know what, we'll just take that, whatever it has in that first column, in the A column, and we're going to add it to our combo box. So combo source dot add item and then space this guy. Cool, let's try it. Boom, I can select if it's going to be V1 or V2. Okay, that's cool. So next thing that I need to do is, let's think about this. When the guy clicks continue, I need to import data, and I can send in what our combo box says. So combo source and .txt. Cool, so that's pretty much done this guy's job, and we can just close it. After that, thing's eventually going to finish. We're going to unload this user form itself, and we can make this function or this command or method in our importing data module. Now I just realized that I called this import data, so we don't need to really do this. Just click the button and this thing happens, or it shows. And then the thing that shows, the importer that shows, it kind of pulls you back here. Boom. Let's add some like debugging just for fun. So over here, when you click the continue button, if the CMB source dot text equals to blank, then end if, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to put a message box out there, MSG box. And we can put many things in our MSG box, but I'm just going to use prompt and title. So we're going to say, please, no source was selected. Please select a source to continue. And we will, what else will we do? We'll put a title. Title equals to whatever. Then you have to do this. Yeah, so that gets us into the title area. And we're going to say, no source file selected. Exclamation mark. Okay, cool. And why is that not working? Do I have to name the first thing? Maybe. Usually just copy this code from somewhere, to be honest. Okay, so that's not it. Comma. Yeah, looks like it's gonna work. Okay, cool. So coming back over here, we're gonna have an else statement, and in that else, we do the good old import data and unload yourself. Okay, so just import data. We're just going to write something here, and we're going to say, oh wait, we're getting something here. We're getting the byval version or source name as a string, because that's what we're going to pass in, whatever the combo box said. And here I'm just going to type a little message just so we get it. Now gonna import data, bro. Okay. All right. Click the button. Don't select anything. No source selected. It gives you an error. Please select a source to continue. Should I put a period here? Let's do it. Shift F2, quickly get there. It doesn't work for user forms. Okay. What we're talking about? We're talking about putting a period right there in the prompt. Okay. Continue. Okay, I guess it's gonna do another next load. Okay, there we go. And then here, if I select version, continue. Now I'm gonna import data. When that continues, it's gonna be done. Okay. So now we're working in import. Now we gotta think about what to do. Okay, so we gotta ask for the file to import. Then loop through columns, calls, whatever, source needs, and grab what we need. Okay, should I try to freehand this today? Let's try it. Okay. So what we're gonna need is a book. It's a worksheet. And what we're eventually gonna do is we're gonna say application. Actually, no, it's a workbook. Yeah. And eventually we're gonna do application workbooks dot add, and we're gonna send in our path to here to that new workbook that we have. But we're gonna set this into our book variable equals. And then when we loop through here, and we're gonna use our book, whatever sheet it is. Let's just assuming we have one tab right now. And if, and then somewhere in our sheet, like the import tab, like import data tab, whatever. Keep naming everything import data, but like here, maybe we call this data. So in our data range, you know, somewhere, maybe it's like the A column, to however much is going to be in our rows. But I don't want to do this right now. This is the second part. I want to do this first. Okay, so because for this, like to get the workbook added into our Excel, like we have to get the path, right? And this path seems like some kind of variable. Let's learn. Does this have some kind of value already? Not really, but like anything else would give me an error, right? No, okay. So yeah, it's a word that we can use, but let's call it something else. I'm kind of worried when the first letter is in a lowercase, but anyway, let's call it file path. And even though I don't want to do this, but I'll tell you, this is how live coding is done, man. We get the code from somewhere else. So let's think about this. VBA import, not import, file select dialog. Yeah, and whoever's watching, man, like, hope you're having a good time. Anyway, just use any of these. We'll copy all this code. Is it office.dialog? Probably not. That looks a little wrong to me. Dude, it is office.dialog. Okay, cool. Whatever. Let's grab it. Coming back to here, we're saying, hey, this is a file dialog. Application.file dialog. It's set into this variable. Then in this variable, where's the if? Where's the with? Did I not copy that? Yeah, I forgot to copy the with. Okay. So that's where the shenanigan ends. Let's pop this up so it's a little bit thing. Do we want to multi-select? No. Please select the source file. That's going to be nice to say. Do we need filters? Do we need filters? No, well, this is a CSV file, so let's not select that. Okay, but we're going to have errors if they select like a PDF or something, right? We just know that. Okay, file path. I'm going to set this into our, what the hell is this? Directory selected items? I don't know what that says, but usually you don't have this dir here. Anyway, file path goes into the workbook. We open up the workbook, okay? And then now what we want to do is we want to talk about our sources. So we're just putting the data in here right now, right? So cool. Let's use our columns. into that import, just so we have headers. And let's paste as values, and let's remove formula, or the word column from each one of them. Okay, space column, yeah, probably better. And we're going to replace space column with nothing. Well, that worked out well. Capital C. Perfect. So we got the word column out of all of these. And we're going to paste in its values. Cool, getting rid of this guy. These are our column headers. And now what we're going to do is we know which source we're using. We know we're like, using V1 or V2, right? When we click this button, it's going to know that, hey, V1, that's what I want to import. So it knows that in that file that we're going to open up to get it from the V column, but how does it know to kind of put things into here, like into this column here, right? So we can make some internal mapping. Should I do that? These are pretty static, so I can even hard code it in the VBA. Let's be a little lazy and do that. Okay, so we're saying that in data range A1 through something, first we gotta find the last row of data. The last row is equal to, and we're gonna go dot cells. Yeah, we're gonna copy it from our for loop. Here in our for loop, it ran to the last line. We have a cool way of identifying what that last line is. But the question is, should I use the first column or not? So what we should probably do is use the first column that they give for like account number. Or actually, should I do? You don't want to use check number. If that's blank or the description's blank or whatever, and you pop up to the bottom, then the last row that has descriptions, maybe like row 500, where you have transactions going all the way to like row 1000. So as long as there's an amount, we could do something like that, or as long as there's a transaction date. Transaction date looks good to me, but we're definitely gonna have an amount column. Let's do that amount column. That sounds more right. Okay, so we need to pick it up from here. So let's do this first. Let's go to just out of this, right? And let's get the mapping. So we're going to go with our mapping file and we could use a for loop from here. Let's cut the whole thing. Shit. Okay, here we go. So we got this mapping file. It's gonna go in the mapping file, and then we're basically looking in the first cell for the source name that we get coming in. So the source name was passed in from the beginning. We're gonna look for a match on that. So the source name, then and if this is our guy, we only have one, so we can exit the for loop once we find this guy. And now let's do some mappings. So what we're gonna say is account no column equals to dot cells I2. It's kind of going all over the place. Okay. What we're looking at now is we're basically filling this all up, right? So let's paste a few of these down. So this could be trans column. This could be our check no. This could be our is it super laggy? I don't know, man. If anybody's watching this, I doubt anybody's watching this, but if you could let me know if the video's all right. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Let's continue here. Yeah, so we're gonna get all our columns, all right? So we got the check number column. Let's go desk 1. This is really distracting me, man. I forgot which one was distracting. So let's just go to another. Gotta check the WhatsApp messages every once in a while. Okay. So here we are, and I want to remember YouTube is the one that I don't like. Okay, cool. So, oh, whatever. Let's check the comments later. Let's see if you guys leave something in the chat later. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we got our desk 1, and our desk 2, and our AMD call, and then we got our cur call. This is a bad word to use because we may have a current call running some code. Anyway, we're going to add these guys in. Let's put the mapping in. So it's going to be 2 all the way down to whatever this number is. So it's just going to be linear, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can we confirm that this is correct? If we go column, this is our 8th column, yep, so that works. Okay, so if we find the source, we got all these variables here, and then what we're gonna say is to find the last row, use this amount column, and in the amount column, go up from the most bottom that you can go and get the last row. Then in the data, we are going to paste into row 2 to last row plus 1. And we want to get this from our books, and we're going to do a range here. We're going to start from one, go to the other. So inside range, we're going to give it a cell coordinate and to start and where to end. In both of these, however, we're going to use the amount, like for A2, for example, right? We're just putting in our account number, right? So we'll use the account number column here, and what we want to do is we want to like start, obviously we're going to end at the last row, but we're going to start on row 2. And this may be a problem. We may want to just like put this in our mapping here. Anyway, so if we put these numbers in, it gives us an issue range. That looks good to me. This just doesn't have a column reference. Actually, I think we have it. We're just going to go and. Okay. So you'll notice here that I need, actually what I'm missing here is I need a column, right? So this is going to go through AA, last row plus 1 because we're using 2 here. We're using 2 here as well. So maybe we just use last row. And we're going to start from 2 there and get the last row and the account number column. Okay, the issue with this is, this actually might work, but basically this is a character, right? This is just picking up whatever's in the cell. Should we just go ahead and try it, see what we got so far? Why not? Let's click save here. I'm going to click OK, and I have version 1 and 2 closed, so I'm going to go continue, and I'm going to click my version 1 file. It's for a guy named Kamal. So let's click OK. And what I told you guys I was going to test out was this dir. Okay, so that's dir, fine. What's the selected item? That's this whole path. I like that whole path better, bro. That whole path's way better. So it opens up this file. Sure. Why didn't it copy? You suck, man. Oh my god, you suck. Okay, it opened up the book. In the book, sheets 1, I found the last row. It didn't, right? Never gonna, this doesn't work. Import data, let's do v2 this time. And click on the v2 file. It finds a path, we don't gotta keep stopping here, we'll stop down there. It says, okay, the amount column is in C. That's great. Okay, but where is your last row? Do you find your last row? 656, okay, let's try it. 656 is the last row here? Yeah, 656, okay. So it's saying, hey, into data dot range A2 through A whatever, or, oh, no, well this is going to the A column, right? And I want it from the A column, and A column here, from the second to the last row. So from 2 to 56, all these account numbers, right, they should get posted to this import sheet. Is this the data tab? Data, yeah, is our import tab. Interesting, interesting. 266, account number column A through A is where it's coming from. Because it definitely worked in cells over here using the C. So cells works with the letter. We just found that out. But this range. Okay, let's try something. Let's go dot value. Yeah, that worked. Okay, cool. So, yeah, and with eventually what we want to do with our book here, right, is we want to close the book. Book dot quit, close, whatever, close, yeah, okay. Because it kept it open here. Look, it just opened this up for me, leaving this on my desk. Piece of shit. Okay, cool. So what we're coming down here is saying that we have data in many places. Friends in many places. Okay. We're gonna go copy, paste, paste. We got 3 now, and I need description 1, description 2, amount, and cur. Just realized this is a description 1 and 2. Okay, cool. So here we go. Close that up. And I gotta change these to B's. Let's put some caps lock on, try this a better way. Caps lock D. Yikes, making mistakes here. D, E, F, G, H. Hop on over here. H, G, F, E, D, C. Okay. Oh, did I repurpose the A line? Dumbass. Okay, here, A and A. So for the A1, this is all correct. And we just got to use these words here. So, because I want it in this order, right? Trans, this date, this order is correct, so I just got to copy this down. Yeah, paste, 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 paste. And there's like a dozen ways to do this. A way that it reads all the column names, and we can put things there. But you know, come on, we're not gonna optimize every single thing. Critical, critical, critical. I remember we were putting it into the H column somewhere. No, the H column was mapping. Yeah, H column was here. Okay, might be remembering some other project. Okay, whatever. So we don't need the H column. We only go up to G. We don't even go up to G. Actually, yeah, we only have an amount column. This currency column just comes in for no reason. Is that what it is? Yeah, well, I copied it from the M column. M here. I probably didn't copy this currency. Yeah. So anyways, put some currency. Gotta love the caps lock. Anyway, so I think this is gonna work. Just go balls to the wall here. Okay, let's import data. V1, continue. Select the V1 file, boom. And it gave me all this data here. This is obvious, this is wrong. Why is this wrong? Amount came in the right spot. This all looks good. And this, account number getting here twice. This is V1, V1. The account number comes from the B column. Gets put into, where are we? It gets put into H. Tripping. Okay. So forget about that. The next thing is we'll try V1. Let me delete this. Or V2, sorry. And you can see that it doesn't have V2 or V1 open right now. Closed it for us as well. Click OK. It gets it. That's in a different format, but it still came through. Let's demonstrate it coming through for all you guys that don't believe me. I'm gonna click V2. Continue. Grab me V2, please. Comes through. All the data gets pushed in here. The other one gets closed up, so that's good to go. Now the issue with this, I'll show you. That right here, I have data to row 656. If I click this, and remember, like those two files have the same amount of data, like in terms of rows, but whatever. Let me just import v2 again, right? Like let's say this guy needs to import his data next month, right? So boom, it's basically overwriting the data that it had prior. So what we need to do is first, before we start here, we need to get to this number, right? 657. So see what I did there? I went to the bottom, I came up. This is the last row that we have, and that's what we basically do with this line of code here. Okay. So what we're saying is, first, before we start anything, actually once we get the file, because once we get the file, then we are golden, right? So then we can go get the mapping and all that good stuff. But yeah, if the last row, actually no, first before we start this, we're gonna go with, and we're gonna go into our data tab, and here, and with, and here we're just gonna get our last row, right? So here's our last row. Now that's where we're copying into, right? So this replaces 2. So we can go and last row. And I think we gotta go +1 because this will find the last row 656, and we gotta start from the row after that. So 1. Okay. Now this is 656. That's fine, but we don't want to paste into 656 here, right? So this is gonna be last, or let's call it start row, right? So start row. And then this goes to the last row, which is the last row that's in the book there. But this has to, like, if the last column that's filled out there is 656, we need this to land on, you know, shit, like, for this bad example, like if I have data from here, 1, 2, 3, I have data, right? So this is the first row, and I have data till here. So I want to start on the 4th, and let's say I'm copying the similar data, right? So 4, 5, 6. So my last number was this. Right, so this is my next number. I got 4. This is basically 4, right? And what I want to do is I want to get it to 6. So basically, the last row that I have, which is going to be, well, the last row that I'm going to have is going to be 3, right? And I'm basically putting this here, right? So the last row is 3 over here, right? This guy, and I need to add 3 to my original. This start row, right, to get 6. Ron, you know what? Do what you need to do. So here you go. Let's add the 1 here, and we're gonna say last row, which is gonna be our 3 in this example. We just add it to the last row there. That makes sense to me, man. Okay, so what we're doing here between these, between the A and the colon, we put this. So basically replacing the number. Okay, and then in the last row part of it, and we're taking from the letter on to here. Well, this one's a little bit easier to paste into. Hey man, data's coming from this, it's still coming from the same place. So we got 656 here, and then we should see, look, there's 655 rows of data because we skipped the first one. So 655 rows of data, and you'll remember that 657 was blank. So next time we're going to count from 657 downwards, and we better have 655. So here we go, v2 again. Import this. Import. And that's a problem. Okay, so let's check this out. 657 is where we were. This was blank before. Now we got data in here. And we're going to go all the way to the bottom. This is 656. That means when we're copying it in, because we should have just got to here. So what's wrong here is it's grabbing from the last row 1 too many. No, or is it pasting in 1 too many? Yeah, because 657 is this. Oh yeah, because this is 657, right? No, so this is 657. We minus the 1, we get 656. And 66, we want to add in the last row, and this is going to be -1. Sorry. The last row that we got from their book, we're taking the last row, but we're minusing 1 down here because we start taking it from we don't have the top row, right? So there's only 655 lines of data here. So even for them, even though for them it's on 656, for us when it comes in, there's only 655 rows to append. Yeah, probably didn't explain that the best, but whatever. Bring these guys in here, and let's do a quick reset. Oh, come on. Let's do a quick reset. Okay, we can click import. V1. I brought in the data to 656. And we're going to start on 657 again when we import it. And now we're going to import V2. Okay. And here we go. There's no error at the bottom. Let's jump on over to 657. And don't want to ruin the data here, but like if we go Control Shift down to select everybody, we got 655 rows of data here as well. Does everything line up? Again, we'll check the 657 row because that's where our data cutoff was for V1 and V2. And it seems like there's numbers in all of these columns. There's descriptions in here, and checks in there, and checks in there. The numbers are off. The dates are off. But this January 2nd seems like the first date that we have there. So because it's the same data but just distorted, then I think we're good to go. So here's the guy's mapping. All right. And then he imports this. So what do we call this, man? We call this bank transactions. So now I got to figure out, we'll just put the currency here, right? But basically we need to write a formula here, okay? So what are we going to write in this formula? If this is CAD, then we have a different formula. If this is USD, it's a different formula. So let's write the formula first. Equal if and we're going to get one of these. We're going to write this formula in VBA as well, right? So let's just write it out hard code right now. So one of these CADs is going to be replaced by what our system has, but if CAD equals CAD, then what we're doing is we're taking this amount, right, and we're multiplying it, right, by some conversion rate. So we need to find the latest conversion rate, right, at the time of that transaction that has the greatest date, right? Okay, let's first find that before we get into this. Okay, so we're going to go filter. Actually, you know what? What are we trying to do? Let's just go straight for the answer. Some ifs. We're trying to get this data when this is our in currency, and that's going to be CAD, and this is our out currency, USD, okay, and the date is equal to max ifs. The max date that I have in this column, that is, again, this date that is greater or less than. I want the highest that is less than the date that I'm on, or the date that I'm on plus another plus one, right? Because effectively, when is the closeout for a conversion? Like the date that comes through, right? If the rate changes today, then this rate that I have today is applicable for any day after today, but it's not applicable for the day before, right? So what we're saying is that the date has to be less than, and when our transactions happen, it's the day of. So any rates that are going to come after that are not applicable. So they should be lower than the date that we have, but plus one, because today it works as well, right? I think that makes sense to me. Equal. Our criteria is less than equal to, and transactions, yes. We're looking at the date of the transaction itself. So we're saying, hey, the date that you have, give me the greatest date that's as closest to this number as we can get. And that date is what I am looking for in the date column of that table when there's this currency in and out. Yeah, so this is our converting. Yeah. Oops. So what are we trying to look for? CAD in USD out. And I have this date in the 1st of January, 2025. And this is 2024 data. So let's put this in 1/1/2024. And if we go to our bank data, or sorry, in our bank transactions, the effective conversion rate on the second is that latest thing. But if we have a new number for second, right, let's see for the second, we had another number, 6975. See, it's 2025, man. So the first and the second I should get this 06975. We go here, bank transactions. You can see that's happening. And if this was a transaction that happened on the first, oh, come on, of the 2024, god damn it, it would have been this rate. And on the first of the second 2024, it would change this rate, and any day after that, like the third or whatever, the fourth, it still has this same conversion rate, right? Unless it kind of, we introduce another number, right? So let's say like January 5th of 2024, right? Let's just change these numbers slightly. Like we'll still say currency in Canadian $1. How much do you get out? Let's say you get 75 cents out, or currency is going down for us though. 0.68, right? Flat. Let's actually put 1, just for shits and giggles. So if we come into transaction and we say that, okay, on the 5th, that rate starts to apply, and then any date after that, 15th, right? It's still that same rate unless the user puts it in. And then we have what? The 4th we wanted to try, that was the day before the 5th. The 3rd, before that rate change. 2nd, we had that rate change, same rate change. And on the 1st, we had the value that we had at the top of the table, 06956. I feel like a radio guy with this headphones on. But anyway, what we're doing now is we've done quite a lot in the past hour. Where once I clear this, actually, let me grab this formula so I don't use it. Jot that down somewhere. So yeah, we've done a lot in the last hour. We got an import button here where you can select a mapping of 2 different types, and you can actually extend this list as far as you want and set the mappings. And then we can click on import data. It opens up a file and it brings us the data in a way that we want it. Seems like it fudged up my numbers here. I may have selected version 1 and picked the version 2 file. That's probably what I did. Let's try that again. V1 and making sure I pick V1. Okay, and this data comes through. This is probably just formatted wrong. Okay, and we got our conversion rate deal here. We got a big ass formula that we can use for our conversion rate. And then what we'll do is we're gonna multiply this guy by this guy. Okay, you know what? To make things more easier later, and to make things easier now and more complicated later. No, I think it's gonna be easier either way. we basically want to multiply this by the h, right? So we'll just copy whatever we have in h and use that right here. Get rid of the equal sign. Boom. So we just have everything wrapped in one fudging formula. So all these things make it come through. So if this was Canadian, this is how much it would be. USD, Canadian, USD. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to apply this formula. I'm just going to copy this down. And I'm just going to paste, I think we want to put it right here. Like, we can put it in T, whatever. Let's put it in Z. Do the conversion right there if we need to. And then we're going to plop that back in here. Yeah, we're going to plop that back in there when we have it homogenized. So that's that. I'm going to take a little break, and then we're going to get back to it. There's a little good stuff for you guys. Okay, check, check. Yeah, we are back. Okay, so what are we looking at right now? We are looking at putting the currency conversion rate in. So basically what we're going to say is just the amount column is going to be the converted currency if it's not our origin currency. So let's just make that known first. If we go into our settings, we have our currency, and we can call it app currency. Just want to make sure that this is streaming properly. Yeah. Hello? Hello? Yeah. It's a little bit lagged. It's a little bit lagged. So if I click this button here and I say something, okay, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is we're making some checkboxes. And we want to say that, hey, if this is, I can only select one at a time. I haven't really built something like this before, but let's try it. So what we're saying is in the view code area, we're going to say that change, and we're monitoring this column, so 7. So if target.cells.count equals to 1, then if target.column equals to, what did we just say, 7? Yeah, and then and what we want to do is we need to make a variable here because we don't want to run it crazy. So let's put a var sheet. Updating currency. There we go. Updating currency is going to be the name of this B1 cell, and we're just going to have true false here. Let's put a 1 in there. The range was what we just copied. This guy, updating currency. I'm able to access that one. So we're going to say if, okay, so when we start doing this, yeah, if is Boolean, is that a, no, okay, whatever. So we're going to say if target, then, and if, boom, updating currency. We're going to set this to if target and updating currency is not. So if we're selecting something on and basically we're not currently running this function, right? Because when I run this function, I'm going to set this to true. True, and then after I've done my work, I'm going to set this to false. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to loop. Sorry, went all the way around. Here we go. We're going to copy this. And in this sheet that we're already in, so we don't need to use these dot notations because we're already going to be in that sheet. Rows, cells, and then the search column is going to be 7, and it's going to start from row 2, and it's going to look in column 7, and it's going to say that if it's true, then set that to false, and not that equals to the target itself. Then we're going to set this to false. Okay, let's see if this works. It's possible that there's going to be an infinite loop, so we're going to save. Oops, unqualified reference, don't want to use dots. Okay, and got rid of it there too. And if is missing, so 4, if, and if, okay, we're gonna run that through. So if I select USD, see, it didn't work. Okay, let's try this. Target is false here in this scenario, so it just jumps out. No problem. If this is yes, then it says target is true and this is false, so that's great. So we're going to set that up to false, and we're going to loop through the rows 2 down, and we're going to say that, okay, is it true? Yes, it is. And see, I'm saying, is the reference the same, right? So we'll just skip this row. Yeah, that should do it for us. Then it sets that to false. You see that? Cool. So this is interesting. Okay, this is awesome. Okay, so let's try it out. Let's put in something else, right? AEDs. Let's put some PKRs in there. And boom, if I click this and take off these warnings, then it's only with PKR. AED, USD, CAD. Okay, that's pretty cool, man. Maybe like a little radio button in these checkboxes. Okay, cool. So this is going to be our app currency that we can kind of get currencies, convert them over. So we have USD and CAD, but our app currency is CAD. Okay, so then what we're going to say in our source, right? We write the amount column here. This is our amount column. And we have a currency column? What the? Mapping. Currency comes from the G, no. So, if we go to our data, which is our bank transactions, we only write into, we don't even write into the G column, yeah, so we don't really need this. Okay, and this is our F column to write in, yeah, EF, perfect, okay, cool. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is in the kind of somewhat else column, but we first have to check if this is required even, right? So what we're gonna say is when we're doing our mapping, right, our mapping has a currency here. So we'll call it source currency is equal to whatever it says. It says it in the curve call. We'll just call it, we'll call this source currency, okay? So then we're gonna say if source currency, can't even type, currency, and we're gonna put this in a function. We're gonna say is native currency the source currency that's coming in. We're going to say, hey, is this a native currency? And if it is, then we really don't do anything, all right? But if it's not, then we got to do the whole conversion shenanigans. Actually, you know what? We should have an else here and move that amount code, this amount code that we have, put that here if it is the native currency. And if it's not the native currency, then we're going to have to do something special. We're going to have to write this out to like the Z column. Z. All right, that's fine. And then what we're going to do is we're basically going to take whatever we put into the Z column, copy this, and paste it here, and we're going to put that back into the F column. Okay, so over here we're going to write out our kind of function and formula and all that good stuff. Okay, so here we go. Let's write this, is native currency first. So let's put this in another module because I can anticipate we're going to have some currency issues. Can't call it currency. Okay, maybe we can call it currency conversion. Okay, and we're going to write a function. Okay, and it's going to take in a bival in currency, or yeah, in currency. as a string, and we're going to return back a boolean. The boolean is going to be isNative as a boolean, and dim this out. And then in our function, we're going to return this back. isNative. Cool. So basically, we're going to run some loops here and it's going to do that. Okay, let's go back to our conversion rates. Where was it? I think it was in the map. No, settings. Yeah. In the settings, we'd run this loop here. I'm going to grab this here, bring it over to current for conversion, and with same thing, settings. So let's name it here. I believe I haven't named this yet, but settings. So with our setting sheet, we're going to paste in our loop. And these guys need to come back a little bit, and this guy needs to go forward a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to add the dots back. Okay, so we're saying that, hey, we're looping through the rows, and wherever we find this, and so we're checking the next column over, right? And the 7, so let's do this. Control X this from here. The incurrency is equal to the cells I7 with a dot, and you know what, we should write this in 2 different ifs just to make it simpler. So if we find our currency, right, eventually we're going to exit out of the loop, first of all, right, exit out of the loop. And then we're saying is if, and can we just return this, because this is going to have a boolean, right? We're talking about reading these, where we find the match, we're just returning that. So if it's yes or not, so yeah, so it's just isNative equals to that. And then we don't need to do like another if or anything like that. Cool, found the currency, we return if it's native or not. Okay, so while we're importing, if it's native currency, then we just go ahead and put it into where it needs to go. Otherwise, we write it into the Z column. So what we're going to do is, we're going to imagine that this formula that we made already, let's say the data is coming into here. So we're going to record a macro. Okay, and then we're going to say, hey, into here, I'm going to type in this formula. We drag this down to here. Shit, I got so many references up there. So let's bring this down to the row that we're on. Oh, I only had it referenced once. Okay, great. And then I'm going to hit Control Enter, so it applies to everybody. And let's stop that macro. And we're going to come back and see what code we got. Okay, so macro 1 here. In the selection, it is applying this formula. The formula is pretty simple. That's great, but I want to have this table named, right? Currency, so we're going to call it currency rates. Cool, and then let's just record it again. Control Enter, and stop that. Cool, so coming over here, I applied some random formula to a random cell before, and then we're kind of coming into here. So this is where it needs to go, and then it needs to get copied over. So this is really what I need. And I'm going to put this into here, right? So here to the end, paste, come back here, and look at the formula. But I mean, the formula doesn't really matter at this point because I already know it works. Yeah, and it's all relative references. Well, why are there row references? It's still looking up here, huh? Yeah, this should be on its own row. There should be like no row adjustment in this formula. Yeah, it's really complicated, but whatever. It's going to make sense in just a second. Okay, cool. So we are going to clear out the sheet first because I did it manually so many times, like going like this. So let's just make a button because I can anticipate having to use that or having to do that over and over. So we're gonna go, let's just line these. I'm putting clear bank data because I intend to put this on another sheet later. Okay, can we make this look a little bit better? Shape fill, more fill colors. Let's get like a red. The outline can be like a dark red. No, let's make the outline a little bit bigger. One of these. Like, hey, don't mess around with this button over here. Oh, that's a good. Angry, you know what I'm saying? Clear the bank data. Okay. You know what? We need to bring the fill a little bit down. That looks so ugly. Okay, let's just go back to whatever we usually do, which is more fill, because standard, and this lightest red. Boom, clear bank data. I think that looks good enough, man. Feels good enough. Okay, you want black? Sure. Clear the bank data. You know what? Would white look better? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little crazy here. Nah. Okay. And we're going to rename this guy BTN clear bank data because we may have another clear button somewhere else. So assign macro, edit this. Nope, I don't want to edit that. Take this macro out, save it, and then click it again, assign macro and new. Okay, so in this BTN clear, what we're going to do is we are going to put this with the other button with the data tab. I got to get the last row. Just get it from here. And we are going to go range A1 through H. And our last row. And we're going to go cells.clear. Okay, so now I can easily test this. Just click a button, get rid of that. I don't want to start on one, man. And the worst thing about this, you can't undo VBA, right? So settings, mapping, get these guys again. Copy, transactions, paste, and we're just going to substitute from here the word column with a C capital. Close that up and replace that with nothing. Close that, boom. Bring that into here. Copy these guys and paste them as values. Okay, good to go. Clear the bank data and got rid of it again. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Okay, let's copy that again. Try it again. Okay, and substitute from here. Can I see myself doing that again? Probably, right? Yeah. So let's write some code to prevent that from happening in the clearing function. So basically what happens is, it's so stupid too. Like if I have no data here, then the last row that it finds is 1. So it's deleting 2 from 1. So whatever. If last row is equals to 1, then don't do anything. We'll move this guy up. Okay, well, that was retarded. Okay, it's not gonna do anything now, but if I have some data here, then it's gonna delete those guys. Okay, cool. All right, let's start importing some stuff. V1. let's check. V1 was our CAD file. So where did we go? Strong sheet here. It gave us an amount of $0. Oh, it's mad at us. And V1 we mapped it, saying that it is our CAD currency. Let's see if we can access our function from here. Is native currency, and I'm just going to ask if this CAD is our native currency. And it says false. Okay, and what about USD? And it says false here as well. So our function is failing. Boolean, this gets set to false to begin with. And let's see if it even hits this code. When I point it to CAD, to in currency is CAD, does that match? It doesn't match. Well, I is 2 and I7 in our settings is here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it's checking. We need to check the 6th. The check boxes are in the 7th. Okay, so that makes sense. Let's go back to our direct transactions, or where we were in our mapping. H2, continue this. This is true. And then if I point this here and continue this, it's going to say false. Falsify the transactions. Okay. Remove that from here. And let's try that again. So bank transaction is clear. And if I click on importing my V1 file, let's get the same number. And if I import data and I get my V2 file, and that's went to the low line, so 657. Here you can see like all these numbers are messed up. Okay, so let's find out what happened. So we're going to go into importing, and obviously it came into here because it did something different. We're going to write into the Z column first, and then we're going to come into, we're going to take whatever is from here and put it into the value thereof into this portion that we would have copied into directly. Okay, so that looks like nothing changed. So this is what's giving us an issue most likely, because I rely on this code, man. We used it for everything else. Moving it from Z back to here, that's probably already good, but like writing out that formula is probably what's messing us up. So clear this data, import V2 first this time. Okay, and let's check it out. So from 2 to whatever, 656, and it should put something in here. Start was 1, yeah. That's 256. Boom. In the data tab of the Z column, you put in RC or this. Yeah. Okay, let's write a stupid formula here, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, this is just equal 1 plus 1. Oh, V1's Canadian, man. I'm so stupid. V2 is our USD file. And in the USD file, it says it put in this formula where it needs to go, but the Z column is blank. Oh well, this is the data file. Oops. In the financial analyzer, we can't currently see the Z column because I have it zoomed out. Come on, man, let me see it. Okay, yeah, so I put the formula here, right? So that may have been working. We're just looking at the wrong sheet. Man, such a dumbass. Okay, cool. Here equals dash or underscore. Bring this back to home and delete that comment outer and delete this V2 file. Goodbye V2 file. Love this. And clear the bank data. Import some data from the V2 file because the V2 file is the other currency. Click OK. And put in the formula. This is the wrong file. Let's not get confused again. So boom, I put this in. Okay. So it's obviously in the wrong spot. So, okay, it also matters where you write your formula, I guess. I'm going to record a macro again. So I get some code and I'm going to paste in that. This is our date column. So we're going to move that all the way here. And this should be our amount column. But we don't have the amounts yet. So we need the amounts too. Remember that. Okay, cool. Then that should work. Macrothy is what I think I just recorded. Can really copy this, and it's really just what column references are in this formula. Really, that's all that's changing. And what we got to do is we got to put the currency in first. So this currency will actually happen regardless. And if it is not the native currency, then we got to first use that F column to get the Z column, and then the Z column will populate back into the F column, right? Still some changes we need to do in this formula, like remove this CAD with source currency. Yeah, there's a problem there, but we'll talk about it. Okay, so clear that, import data, V2, continue, V2 file, click OK. Boom, formula gets applied. Wrong, this is the right file. Okay, so 209, it's applying correctly. Now it's gonna copy that shit over, right? So copy it over. Did it do it? Financial analyzer. Yeah, it copied that in 209, and then these numbers are now wrong, and then it should clear out the space, man. That's not good etiquette to mess this up. Let's bring this code a little up here and go F8, and we'll notice here that it cleaned up that sheet for us, and just let it roll through. Okay, so that is that, but what the issue is that this guy is our app currency, so it's always, the out currency is always going to be out, like the currency, this one is going to be our out currency. We need to close these and go end to end. And we're going to call this our native. We could just use the formula in here. Get okay, and here in the currency in, we're going to have the source currency that's coming in. Okay, so I got to do a couple things. Got to make this function here. And this is actually going to return a string. It's going to be a similar loop. So we're going to call this native currency. Native currency, and then we're going to string. It's going to be a string. This is going to start off as blank. We can even set this to cat or something like that. And we're going to go to the settings. And in the settings, we're going to find the first one that we see is true. And then if we find it true, then our native currency is our whatever's in the 6 box. So now we're importing, we get native currency. The only problem that we have is we're going to CAD. We're changing USD dollars to CAD. So in our conversion rates, we actually don't have that. So we'll flip these around. Let's put USD, CAD, and I'll just flip these guys around. Okay, clear the data. Let's go. V2, continue. US dollars to Canadian. So remember, it was like 300 in that file. So we should be seeing something larger, but we don't. Let's start the debugging process again. Import V2, continue. V2 file. It's going to stop when it writes the formula out. Let's go into the Z column here. Here's where you find the errors. 657 is correct. This one is causing us a problem. Currency out is CAD, currency in is source currency. That's wrong because we need to put triple quotation there. There you go. So it's a little bit higher, right? It's like a positive number. Oh, so now we have expenses in this bank account. Positive number. So the Canadian value is way higher. Boom. And that's that. So we got our currency conversion. We got a nice way to do currency now as well. So we can just delete this. Clear the bank data, import BU1 just to make sure that works. Cool. Clear the bank data and import B2 to make sure that works. 430. Okay. That is good. Let's see what we got to do next. For my boy Kamal. So what we've done here today is importing using the mapping selector. And we got some currency rate conversions. We still got to do that. So these are our outputs that we need to do a quarterly summary, and now we need to get into category allocation. So here, this is your statement categories. We're going to make another category table, and we're going to call this expense categories. What each thing is, I don't know, but I think this guy gave me a thing before, like a chart of accounts or something, yeah. I could not open in productive view, then why don't you just go ahead and open it for me? Let's see how, this guy says bro's cooking, hell yeah, bro's cooking. Let's see what we got here. Okay, there's only 75 options really, and this is account number and account name. So we'll just use this chart of accounts sheet. Here we go, let's paste this in here. What's this going? There's a drop down in here. I don't want a drop down. Okay, so these are our account numbers. So we'll call this expense account number. And you know what? Let's put expense account name here. Quite lengthy. Let's use like a middle here. That's fine. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make like a. We want to make this a drop down, but it would be nice to show the name as well, right? Probably not under, well, in the drop down, it would be nice to show the name and the account number. Should we do that? And it would be worthwhile to keep this separate for other reasons, for sorting and stuff? Perhaps. So So let's just make a concat version or display. And in the display, we're just going to take our account number. We're going to go and dash and take this guy. All right, so we got all these. And what we want to do is we want to use an indirect function to reference this guy. And indirect, we need to add in quotations. Boom. Display with many spaces here. And we want no spaces. Okay, cool. So copy this. And what we're going to do in our bank transactions data is here, we're going to give this an account. And in the account here, we need to drop this data validation. So the guy can fill out, which account this belongs to. But dude, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Does this make sense? I mean, is he going to go through all these and put that in? Maybe he would. I mean, essentially what we want to do is in a chart of accounts report, we need to put in every transaction, right? Because this is transactional based accounting. I don't know what it is. Okay, cool. That's the good thing about this, man. We can type in 1200 and it kind of searches it for us. That's made out of Excel. Okay, let's see what we're going to do. We want to apply this data validation. So record the macro 4, whatever. Clear that. Click OK. Go to data validation. Go to the list and paste that in. Click OK, and then that gives us the data validation. So stop that and go look at the code. Here we go. Macro 4. It deletes the validation anyway, so I don't need this delete code. And it's gonna add in. These are all good options. You need to show the error message and all that good stuff. Statement category stays the same. Statement category is 9 is not the name of the table that I want. I want to call this. Let's call it EXP accounts. And I'll use that name here. Okay, so that should be done. And we want to set the validation. So we'll just play like set account drop down with a range. So by ref, one word, range is going to come in. It's going to be a range. And in this range, we're going to set the validation. So all we have to do is this area that we're pasting to, of course, this is going to be G, because it's the next column over. We're going to set the account dropdown. Okay, just one thing I want to do here before I leave is the clear. It needs to clear through H. Yeah, that's fine. Isn't that fine? Because it's going to clear up to here too. So this has value validation in it. Clear it. Does it still have data validation? It doesn't. Awesome. Import some data. Go to V1. Just retested conversion many times. Let's just click OK. Boom, comes in, and now I get these drop downs wherever I need to go. Boom, boom, boom. Like it. Super sexy. All right. Okay. What are we doing next? What are we doing next? So what we need to do is category allocation. Charts of accounts category allocation. I'm going to call that the same thing. There was this vendor thing, man, that I remember. You want to do something called like, let's talk about this. Let's go. Multiple banks and visas to import. Yeah, we got that. Multi-currency, we got that. Apart from bank, we need visa statements to be imported. Yeah, okay, just set up another mapping. Here, area to input payments, already got that. Password protected. These dot ones are the ones that we want to focus on. Different HST rates. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Yeah, here we go. Disbursements. So he's just putting it in there, and we got this done, right? Mapping is done. Mapping selector is done. HST rate allocation. This is done in expenses. Well, let's put HST allocation. I put this in T statements. Income only. rounds. I can do a double parentheses. Screw you guys. And then I added it to imported bank trans. See, this is the weird one, right? The pay statements and all that shit. I don't know, man. Additional expensive allocation right into the imported data. Yeah. So, question is, do we need a other/cash input for expenses? And the topic of these questions is really going to be income and expenses. Like, dude, where are these pay statements? Because if the pay statements are already in the bank of transactions, then we can just assign account and then we're good to go, right? And then, but the question is, do we have cash transactions, right? Inputs and outputs. Got to talk about that a little bit. Okay, currency range dates, got that. Protection, I'll do it at the bottom. Everybody likes to stay protected. And then we need to make the quarterly summaries and stuff. So let's take a look at what this guy used to have. Do I want to do that right now? That's the thing. Do I want to do that right now? I probably don't want to do that right now. Is this good enough to show this guy tomorrow? We got these imports happening. We got pay statements. We should have done the quarterly summary, man. But shit, I got sidetracked a little bit. Okay. I think that is it for today, man. It's around 3 or 4 o'clock where I am right now, so it's getting time for bed. But it's a pretty good run, man. We got mapping here. We put this with our settings. I like to make these black these days. We don't have any unhidden sheets. VARs is something that I need just for development, so we just put like a red. I can hide that one. Currency rates, let's make that also black. You know what, let's make it blue because it's a little bit different. And your pay statements are basically your outputs. We can make that like a green, right? And then these are your data tabs. So your data tabs are important, I guess, in a way. So we would call them pink and street pink. That doesn't look really good. Let's go orange. Here's your bank transactions and your pay statement data. You can see statement data there, and these two you can see are together. And then we're gonna have another tab here, which is gonna be like that color. What color is this? The second darkest green. This guy, and this is gonna be your quarterly summary. Yeah, and then P&L and balance sheet, we'll add those two. Balance. Okay, that's done. I got a request from somebody. I'll just quickly go through that. Some kind of insurance adjusters. They want a rename to happen. So let's go to Jack Dillman. I think it's this guy. He says that he wants the sheet to be differently named. I can close this. Don't say that. Here it is, the coverage analyzer. So what this does is it kind of does all this grouping and stuff. We've got some formulas going on here. But what it does is it does all of this in book sheet 1. Yeah, like it gets data from there, right? adds like some report columns or whatever. And then we create a group report and all that, but we name that group report. And we just need to name this guy. Okay. Easy, easy, easy. So over here, we're going to name it. And what's the name that they gave us? They want to call it carrier estimate. So you click this button, you go to Jack Dillman. You select this updated or book 2 file because that's the smallest one to work on. Book 2. Da, 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 da. Can't open the pivot table resource. Okay, yeah, because if you're gonna rename the sheet, then it's not gonna work. Okay, so let's make all our pivot tables be made, and then right before we save it, we'll put the name. So stop that. Book 2, close it up. And by the way, I want to show you guys what book 2 looks like. This is all that book 2 looks like. Carrier estimate. I just have some data in this file. I just made this in the code. This is what the file looks like. Sheet 1, that's what it looks like. Okay, actually it doesn't even have these. This is what the file looks like. Anyway, I'm gonna click estimate data. I'm gonna select book 2. And then it's gonna take a little time. Maybe in the later date we learn how to make some loading screens in VBA. Would be nice. Would be nice to have. But nevertheless, it completes and it asks me, hey, where do you want to save this file? I'm going to save it as 100. And the file is converted successfully. If we come and open up file 100 that it just made, folks, it just made this right now. We got all these things named. All right, so I put the wrong name here. There should be something else, and the sheet 1 needs to be called that. So let's just put that here. Oh, we already have carrier estimates. We don't need that again, but sheets. The problem is that what if the tab that they gave us has it named something else? Whatever, we'll use it. Sheet 1. They said it's pretty static, the input files. Okay, trying that again. Click the button. We're selecting book 2, and I'm only selecting book 2 because it's the easiest file to work with. It doesn't hang up my system for too long. And maybe I call this one like book 2 200. I can call it whatever I want. But I don't think I've used the word 200 yet. So save that in. It saves it, whatever. Great. Yeah, cool. Load this up. Okay, there's a dialog box which I opened myself. Okay, anyway, 200. Here we go. Unit report, fees report, group report, carrier estimate. No problem. Save that solution. Yeah, it took me a few minutes to do that because I made some mistakes. But because I tested it each time until I got what I wanted, I have a solution that's working. So basically, I spent more time today, but I'm not gonna have to spend that time tomorrow. Anyway, this is a small change, no problem. This is a small change, no worry about. Worry about it. Keep that, yeah, there we go. Okay, good day today, man. Pretty good day. We're gonna end it off here. See you, lady. Accepted an invite. No, don't exit yet. Send that over. I think it should be sent now. Yep, great. Just got closed down, and we're good to go. So the first live on here, only 2 hours or 1 minute less, or 10 minutes less than an hour. I want to thank you guys for your time, whoever was here for the ride. And yeah, if there's one thing that I want to share today, or one thing that I could say that, for maybe like the lesson learned today was that we had, you can do a whole bunch in Excel. It's really, the sky's the limit. So yeah, see you next time.